Senator Keenan, your opponent has taken issue with the origins of many of your campaign contributions. Since January 1st, 2015, according to the state campaign finance records, nearly 70% of your donations have come from outside of the district you represent. Do you see any problem with the fact that a majority of people who support your campaign, at least financially, do not live in your district?
I'm aware of that graph that Alex has posted, and he did draw from the Office of Campaign Political Finance. And you can put in a target date and kind of get the graph to present where your funding comes from. If you look at my campaign finance over the course of the past 6 years, my time that I've served in the State Senate, you will find that 76% of the number of contributions that I receive come from within district. 76% of them. And you will also note, if you do a little legwork, that in the grand scheme of campaign finance, I am by no means aggressive. I am often prodded, and people who are more political than I tell me you should have more money in your campaign account. You should be much more active in raising funds. I don't do it very often. I don't do it very much. In fact, of the 40 senators, I ranked 34th as far as what my campaign balance was at the end of 2015. That means 34 other senators had more money in their campaign accounts than I did. And one of the ones who had less than me is leaving office, and so basically spent down his account. So I am very sensitive to the source of campaign funding. I'm very sensitive to that. I have an open door policy, so it doesn't matter whether somebody contributes to my campaign or not. The door is always open, and again, I'm out and about meeting people, so a contribution to my campaign doesn't buy anything. And more often than not, in most cases, if not all cases, I find that the campaign contributions for those that come from Boston, for instance, are from people who appreciate the work that I'm doing. It's not to get me to change my mind or to persuade me to do something differently. It's a recognition of the value of the work that I'm doing. They say, hey, I like what you did there. I'd like to support you. And they support me in that way. So back to your thing, if you look at the big picture of my campaign finance, the vast majority of the contributions come from in-district, and you'll find that my record compared to anybody else in the Senate, in fact anybody else in the legislature, suggests that if you're going to run in the issue of campaign finance and possible abuses, I'm the wrong candidate to run against, because I don't do it.
Thank you, Mr. Keenan. Mr. Mendez, 60 seconds.
As I mentioned earlier, it's not just him, it's the entire system that we're dealing with. He even noted that the system is even worse than he is. So he's saying that 76% of the people who donate, not the amount. That's a certain just important figure to notice, because lobbyist after lobbyist after lobbyist gives money, attorney after consulting. He's just taking the money, and what it does is it's very upsetting, and it disrupts the democratic process, because all that money, the tens of thousands of dollars he gets from unknown sources for whatever reason there is, puts the finger on the scale, and it outweighs the ideas that will happen. You'll see flyers, you'll see Facebook ads, you'll see all sorts of lawn signs. That's because I can't get mine out there, because I'm completely self-funded. I depend on $10 donations from mothers and family friends. He gets $200 day after day after day from unknown lobbyists. That's completely unacceptable. And as he said, the system's even worse. And he's not doing anything to correct it. He's using it simply as a way to say, oh, I'm not doing it, but in fact he is.
Thank you, Mr. Mendez.